All right. Welcome, everyone. This is the School District of Prescott Board of Education regular meeting. We have been in closed session since 6:15, and we are now on item 5, the Pledge of Allegiance. Tanya, would you care to lead us?
Sure.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 6, recognition of visitors. If there's anybody that cares to be recognized tonight, please approach the podium and state your name and municipality.
Frozen, but Tesla Magnuson, Prescott, 2 kids in the high school. I'm here tonight because I would like to heap praise on Cassie Butler and all of you, but mostly her, for the COVID testing in the front entrance room.
Can you move your microphone down a little bit? Just get it.
Better?
Yeah, just want to make sure we can hear you.
Okay. One of my kids was identified as a close contact last Friday afternoon. Instead of calling and searching all weekend to identify a test location, we knew that we could take care of it on Monday. My worry and his worry, even though he wouldn't tell you this, was diminished significantly. Monday morning, I drove him to the test, waited in the car, watched a procession of mothers bringing their close contacts in for tests. It took less than 5 minutes. He received the rapid test result back in 30 minutes. And because we try to follow CDC guidelines, he stayed home until we get the final all clear, which happened this afternoon, much to his chagrin. On-site testing was not only straightforward to navigate on the website, but also easy to get to. I'm grateful for the leadership of Cassie Butler and the school administration for making this possible for all of us. I can't imagine the paperwork, the logistical hurdles, and yes, dealing with the less than supportive folks of this critical mitigation measure. And I'm grateful to all of you, Dr. Spicuzza, and board members for giving the okay. That's it, short and simple.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Okay, let's move on to item 7, good news from around the district.
Yeah, we'll start with our student rep.
All right. So this month, Student Council, we had our meeting last Friday morning, and we talked about having another Mental Health Awareness Day. We are planning our next Mental Health Awareness Day for the Tuesday coming back from spring break. So we are really excited about that, continuing to just shed some light on some mental health issues that aren't so fun to talk about sometimes. We also received an email from Barb Munson, and if some of you don't know who she is actually on our mural that we just put up in our high school, and she was asking, she's also the head of the Indian logo and mascot task force. She was asking us to write a letter in support of the task force or write a letter to the 26 districts that still have Indian mascots in Wisconsin. So we are currently discussing that and choosing what our action will be. So those are 2 discussion type things that we're doing right now.
Thank you. I'll have our administrative team come forward. Sure. We have a special event coming up, and the middle school would like to take a moment to introduce some of our students and our choir director.
So as everyone knows, or hopefully does know by now, the middle school musical is coming up on December 3rd, 4th, and 5th, Frozen. So Miss Diana Lee, our choir director and our one of our co-musical directors, is they're going to talk just a little bit about it and preview the show a little bit for us.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Igo, for that nice introduction. That saves me a couple of words. But again, yep, my name is Ms. Diana Lee. I am the choir director at Prescott Middle School and co-directing with our school counselor, Ms. Abby Schultz. I brought some cast member friends with me. Today I brought with me Elsa, Anna, Christoph, Olaf, and Oken, and I will let them talk a little bit to you.
Hello, my name is Caden Riley. I play the role of Christoph. We have been in rehearsal for Frozen Junior since September, and we're so excited that we're almost to the finish line to bring this show to life.
Hi everyone, my name is Cassidy Hegland and I play the role of Olaf. We are very proud of everyone and have loved the theater community that Frozen has brought to the middle school.
Hello, my name is Emily Cook. I am an 8th grader and I play Elsa. On behalf of the cast of Frozen Junior, we would like to personally invite you all to see this show on December 3rd, 4th, or 5th. We would also like to offer each of you 2 complimentary tickets. If you would like to go with those tickets, please contact Mrs. Hildebrand in the district office, and she will coordinate that for you.
Hi everyone, my name is A.D. Schiller and I play the role of Oken. If you don't know who my character is, go online, grab your tickets, and check out the show.
Hi, my name is Maddie Middleton and I play the role of Anna. It is my understanding that the board might like to hear a sneak peek of the show, so we have prepared a part of a song for you. With the help of Miss Lee, we would like to sing for you now.
Please give me 1 minute while I just get this thing on and ready to go for him. Do you guys want to kind of circle up? Make sure this is the right spot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, middle school. We look forward to seeing you early December.
Wait, where's everybody going?
They're going to sell tickets.
That's a tough act to follow. Sarah Dusick, Malone Elementary principal. This week at Malone Elementary and Intermediate School, we are deep into a fundraiser to raise funds for the new playground equipment at Malone Elementary. At Malone Elementary School, 19 staff members have put their name in the hat to get a pie in the face on Tuesday morning next week at 10:30. And the top 5 staff members will get a pie in the face. At the elementary building, so far we've raised $1,100, and we have 2 more days to collect money to go towards those 5 staff members. At the intermediate school, they're doing grade level competitions for extra recess time. The classroom that collects the most money will get an extra recess time on Tuesday as well. And then also on Tuesday, we look forward to partnering with the Malone Parent Committee again to do the fan favorite of Turkey Bingo. It's one of the favorites of the year. The kids play bingo, we shout it out over the loudspeaker, and then they cluck and gobble their way down to the prize table when they do get a bingo. So it's really entertaining and it's a fan favorite.
Wait, you said the top 5 get pies?
Yeah.
Seems like it'd be the bottom 5, but whatever.
And there's a surprise for the one who has the most money.
Are you volunteering?
I'm busy that day.
Michael Kosmalski from the intermediate school. Couple pieces of good news. We got a lot of activities that are going on. Drama-Rama wrapped up. DI. Earlier this month, though, Sergeant Chad Caranda from the Pierce County Sheriff's Office delivered some school supplies for our students, and that was part of the Pierce County Badges and Backpacks program. So thank the Pierce County community for supporting our schools. Also, as I mentioned earlier, Drama-Rama just wrapped up on November 6th. We had 27 students from Prescott Intermediate and Middle School participate in that. And our middle school results, our third grade team, coached by Julia Alboreto, received a red ribbon for the Little Late Red Robin Hood. And then we have our fourth and fifth grade team, coached by Bo Wilkins. They were awarded a red ribbon also for their rendition of The Way Out Wizard of Oz. And finally, we got a blue ribbon in our fifth grade team, coached by Rachel Wilkins, of The Care and Feeding of a Dragon. And I know some of the pictures were sliding up there earlier. So just a few of the events going on around the intermediate school.
Good evening, board. Rick Montreal, Dean of Students at the high school. And I'd like to share some good news with everyone from Prescott High School. First off, there continues to be a vast array of opportunities for our kiddos this school year. For example, our enrichment committee, comprised of 6 high school staff members, have invested countless hours in developing Cardinal Time activities for our students. We have offerings ranging from Dungeons and Dragons to Cooking Club to intramurals, to name a few. Students are being asked to sign up for their top 3 choices of enrichment options with the intent of beginning this new schedule every Friday during our second trimester. I want to give a huge thank you to the Enrichment Committee for giving these choices and chances to our students. I heard a lot of positive comments today when this was introduced. Our next bit of good news revolves around 2 performances we recently put on in this very performing arts center. The first one was the play entitled Peter Wendy. I think I saw a picture up there. That highlighted 3 different showings over the past weekend. The second performance occurred 2 nights ago as our choir put on a show of their own. Both of these events showcased our awesome student talents and were an amazing display of our students' skills. Big time kudos go out to Ms. Camrath as well as all our student performers. Lastly, we continued to gain momentum with our inclusivity group in a meeting held earlier this week. This student-led organization showed their passion and determination with defining a mission statement, organizing a bracelet assembly party, and ensuring that our building theme of inclusivity and diversity does not end with our newly installed mural. A big shout out goes to Shay and our other student leaders for their inspiring and innovative ideas. In closing, it's definitely been a highlight of this school year to see Prescott High School students taking advantage of awesome opportunities as well as exhibiting their outstanding talents. Thank you.
Good evening, Mark Inouye, Director of Student Services. Just wanted to report that earlier this month we were awarded $8,600 from the Department of Public Instruction for a transition improvement grant. This grant is actually based on outcomes, so it takes all of our exiters from the 1920 school year, and that students with disabilities, does some polling of them and really awards us money based on how many are either in higher education or are involved in qualifying employment. 9 out of 10 students, we received money for them, so a great response rate and great outcomes. So just wanted to thank Barb Bowen for doing all the tracking down of the students for this survey, as well as the entire Prescott staff for all the work they put into our students with disabilities to improve outcomes for them. And then secondly, just wanted to shout out to Beth Dodge and Andy Cohen, our 2 school psychologists. This past week was School Psychologist Week. Tanya, I'm sure, hopefully you celebrated as well in South Wash. So just wanted to give out them a big shout out. We couldn't do it without them. Thank you.
Good evening, Andrew Caudill, Activities Director. I'd like to congratulate our fall student athletes and coaches for a tremendous season as they are all wrapped up now. Tyler Laux finished 10th at the state cross country meet, which is the best finish for a boys cross country runner we've ever had. So he was on the podium, which was awesome to see. Tyler Laux will be our October Student Athlete of the Month. Girls Golf was selected to be our Fall Team of the Year. Winter sports are getting going. Girls basketball had a 89-53 win last night. They're home on Friday against Hudson. Boys basketball will start their game schedule on Tuesday in Richmond. First home contest is the 30th. Wrestling will have their first contest December 2nd. And our forensics program is getting ready to get going after Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. I just have three quick things. I just wanted to remind everybody that it is November and we're 8 days away from Thanksgiving. I am very thankful and wanted to acknowledge the work of our teachers and our staff that continue to do amazing things each and every day to keep our schools open and our students safe. Later in the evening, you're going to hear results from the academic performance for the Prescott Public Schools in relationship to the district report card. I will not steal Michael Kosmowski's thunder on that, but I also wanted to thank Michael, Mark, and our admin team. We have begun our site visits where we work with our teacher leadership teams to look at the report cards and the academic performance and identify how they're currently working and providing interventions for our students, as well as working with the new intervention positions that you allowed us to hire and place in our buildings. I also wanted to thank our new teachers. For the second time, I've been able to meet with them on Monday evening, and we are working with 2 different cohorts and mentors, and Michael, with his hat of teaching and learning, is leading that endeavor. And it was a good opportunity just to check in with them since I haven't been able to be in the same room with them, to just welcome them to the Prescott way and congratulate them for the work that they've done over the whether or not they were in cohort 1 or cohort 2. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Rick. We'll move on to business. We have consent agenda as the first one, and in the consent we have the board minutes from October 20th. We have board checks, non-licensed personnel, retirements, resignation, employees, changes of non-licensed staff, and the appointment of deputy clerk for elections. Is there anything that the board would like to have removed from consent? Since I hear no objections, I will adopt the consent agenda. Are there any objections to the consent? And the consent agenda is adopted. Thank you. We'll move on to item B, employment, retirement, resignation, of licensed staff.
And at this time, we have no staff members that are retiring, or that we're adding, or have submitted resignations.
All right. This is great. So we'll move on to item C then, elect a WASB delegate and alternate delegate for the 2022 WASB convention in Milwaukee on the 19th through the 21st. In the past, we've had multiple people do this. I know Steve has done it. I've done it. Anybody have any comments on this one?
I'm not going to be able to attend this year.
Okay. I was planning on going. I could do it. If there's anybody else that wants to take that spot to be the delegate at the assembly, otherwise I'll take it. I'm likely out of town.
I go to it, but I like going to the conference part, so if you would, that'd be great.
That's fine. Do we need to nominate somebody there, Rick? Or not nominate, but do we need to approve that, or can we just put that in the minutes that I will be the delegate?
It looks
I would move to select.
Okay, go ahead. Somebody make a nomination.
I nominate Mike Matzik for WASB delegate and Tanya Holub for alternate delegate for the 2022 WASB convention taking place January 19th through 21, 2022 in Milwaukee.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that one carries. So that was literally the quickest business agenda I think we've ever had. And we're now on to item 9, information discussion. The first item in there is the maintenance and repair update regarding the February, did I miss something?
Nope, sorry.
Regarding the February 15th, 2022 referendum.
So we have multiple members in the audience, and we have 2 that have been elected to speak. If you've been part of the Facility Advisory Committee and are in the auditorium, if you could just raise your hand. Thank you. Also, we have Mike Hoika in the back, who is also here and has participated. And I will turn it over to Veronica and Brady.
Hi, my name is Brady Randolph, and this is Veronica Wittick. We're a part of a 11-person. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
All right, fair enough. We're part of a 11-person, different demographic, individuals across the city of Prescott. And what we're brought in to help make decisions on future projects and really maintenance that is required across a good portion of the buildings within the Prescott School District. Mike Hoika has provided us essentially a list from 2019 of the different maintenance items that needed to be repaired across primarily every school except for this one we're sitting in. And then what we did as a team, we went through each one of those line items and provided a high priority, a low priority, or a no priority. And then what we did is we individually split them up into, and this goes across a 10-year basis as well. So there are numbers that Veronica is going to talk to that will have year 1 through 3, 4 through 6, and 7 through 10, I believe it is. So it'll kind of cover the gamut and understand all of the costs and the scope of all the projects for each school and for each time frame. So.
Right. We're going to flip it to the next slide. So we were asked by the board to provide 3 alternatives or options for you to consider when thinking about the referendum to update the schools. And as Brady had mentioned, the schools in question are the Malone Elementary, the intermediate school, as well as the middle school. And our what you see in front of you here is an order of priority. Our number 1 option that we would like to present to the board is moving forward with a $15 million referendum, and that budget would account for all of the items that are that we've identified as a definite priority, a priority, and a low priority. And this would cover all 3 schools and cover the cost of the needs over the next 10 years. That, as Brady had mentioned, when we're talking about the cost and needs for the next 10 years, this comes back to the facility assessment that was done by Market and Johnson. We used that as well as the knowledge from Mike Hoika to really help us come to that assessment. So that's our option number 1. Option number 2 is to go for the full budget. So based off of Market and Johnson's assessment back in 2019, we were looking, the need to update everything was about $19 million. This would cover all of the costs that we've identified from high priority to no priority through all 3 schools over the next 10 years. Our third option is a $12.6 million, and that really just covers the high priority and priority projects at all 3 schools. And those are our options for you.
So, as a board, you also had 2 representatives. We had Pat Block, who's to my right, to my left, Vicki Rudolph, and I didn't know if you 2 wanted to speak to the process or if the board, you had questions for our members.
Yeah, I think let's let Pat and Vicki kind of weigh in here first, and then we can kind of jump in with any questions or dialogue we have. So Pat, I don't know if you want to jump in here.
Sure, I can start. First of all, thank you to Veronica and Brady and the other members that are in attendance and those that are hopefully listening at home, and Mike for your leadership during this process. We had, I think, 6 different, Rick, am I correct? We had 6 different meetings. I should remember, but I don't. Give or take, each one of them lasting approximately 1.5 hours. Which is a great time commitment in and of itself. I think one thing to hopefully people realize is all the homework that got put into it by the Facility Advisory Committee outside of those meetings. So all the great information that Mike provided, that Market and Johnson, that SDS provided, people had homework to do to understand that, to come prepared to the meetings, to have meaningful conversations. So I thought that was just, part of the process, important to understand. Really good stuff, and by all means, you guys chime in if we need to add to that at all. I don't know until I hear some questions from you, and I should let Vicki, speak of what kind of questions the board has. Maybe just to reiterate, I think it's important. The Facilities Advisory Committee put things into 4 different buckets. Is that right, you guys?
Correct.
There was a high priority, a definite priority, a low priority, and a no priority. And those are stated up here on the slide. Things with the no priority that were given would fall into that $19 million cap, if you will. And then again, just to reiterate, the 12.6 would be the things only high and definite priority. There was great conversation and healthy conflict, I'd like to report, but respectful and healthy within the advisory committee people. Mike was I don't want to call him a tiebreaker, but a great voice of reason as questions came up, and was able to provide his opinion on, to make sure we were really understanding the need, and also challenges he has with procurement, with ordering parts, things that we as a committee would not otherwise understand. So I thought it was a great process. Thank you again for everybody participating. And Vicki, anything to add to that?
I think everybody had a lot of really good questions. If they didn't understand something, they really had Mike explain it to them, like what exactly does this mean? It's great we had some people who have participated in these sort of committees before, to kind of give a little bit of direction. We've also had some people there besides Pat who deal with this type of construction and these types of repairs, so they were great as far as references go. And I think everybody did a really good job of diving in, because there was a lot of information to cover. And yeah, you guys were tasked with a lot of homework to look through. So I think you came up with some really, really great ideas. There was always conversation. And I think everybody was able to get a comment in, to put their voice forward, if they had a concern or a question. I think everybody was able to get those answered. And yeah, Mike was a great resource to have in the room.
Great. I'm going to just kind of go around here and pull the board out. Steve, do you have any questions or comments for anybody, Veronica, Brady, or?
Not at this moment. But yeah, we do appreciate all the effort. We all know it's a lot of work and time consuming, especially the last month has been pretty condensed for you guys. So no, let's see what else.
Okay, Tanya?
Yeah, I just wanted to comment, first of all, that this group has definitely exceeded my expectations. I think any of our expectations when we were first putting this task force together, we met with, some, our stakeholders and people consulting with us, and they thought, I think it was like 2 meetings, they said. And we're like, and so, you guys have gone way above and beyond what we were hoping for. And this really, for me anyways, I can speak for myself, gives me a lot of direction. I really, really appreciate the different stakeholders, the time, the digging in, and these options weigh heavy from your guys' opinions, so thank you. I did want to and I think I remember the number, but I wanted to put it out there and make sure that we're talking about the same number. But do you remember the tax tolerance number from the survey that we did with our community about a year ago? What they had come back with?
Yeah, so basically the tipping point was 16 million.
Okay, perfect. So that option number 1 falls within that tax tolerance that our community shared with us. And as I recall, that was also, we had a really good response rate. I think the highest response rate we had with any of our surveys so far, which was great too. So, and then at our last board meeting, we talked about meeting again to discuss this further and really make some decisions. And I know that this is on the discussion end. So is that still our intention to kind of meet again, dive in, be able to read through this process, dive in the next week or two and make decisions based on options and probably timelines as well?
Yeah, so I think a workshop is definitely, we want to dive into the details in the workshop. There's a couple things I just wanted to highlight on the presentation, if you don't mind, and then we can maybe go as a board kind of decide what our next step should be. I don't know if you can put this up, Rick, but we kind of glossed through the options really quick. And if you want to just roll up to option 1 and just kind of highlight this so people understand this, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is really kind of crazy. So option 1's a $15 million referendum, and it includes high priority, priority, and low priority. And that's where we're going to probably have to dive into what that means. For the public that's listening, do you just like, what's an example of something that was like high priority? Like, I'm guessing like the roof was, right? Like the intermediate roof was like a high priority item.
Correct. So I would say roof, asbestos abatement were the top 2 that came up as high priority unanimously through all our activities.
And then just to kind of go down the list, like a low priority item I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I'm just for people to hear
I got
that.
them all right here. So like things of high priority would be like, can you hear me? Like roof replacement, right? Exterior tuck pointing, so like the envelope of the building, making sure that's secured and there's no mold getting inside, right? And no water hampering the children, right? So things of no priority were like paving, repair, and replacement. I got other things that no priority, like paving, repair, and replacement. HVAC upgrades is a more of a priority, but not a high priority, right? And that's in the middle school. Low priorities in the middle school would be electrical system upgrades, plumbing and ADA compliance, handicap chair replacement, things like that, right? In the intermediate school, high priority being a roof, paving, repair, and replacement is a priority. Tuck point and windows and doors are a priority. HVAC upgrades, not a priority. Electrical system upgrades was a definite or like a priority, and the generator was a high priority. Plumbing and ADA compliance, we kind of split that out into 2, where the pipe replacement would be a high priority and the ADA would be a low priority. And obviously asbestos abatement was a high.
Yeah, so that just gives us kind of just a quick picture of like what's in the option 1 that would be addressed, right?
Yep.
At a cost of $15 million, the tax impact at 0, right? We kind of
we glossed over that a little bit, Mike, but yes.
So I don't know, Rick, if this is kind of a good, can we just kind of set the table here with this? Because I think it's really important to understand, why is it 0?
Yeah, so a couple things. We asked the Facility Advisory Committee to kind of walk through the different options, and we hope we'll continue to dialogue. The tax implications and things like that, before we go there, what Brady and Veronica were just talking about is each school was reviewed independently by a group, and then a second group independently, and then they would meet together and come to consensus. And so what we have on the screen right now is just the different prioritization that led to the dollar amount. All of these forms will be posted after this meeting onto the district website so that individuals will be able to see it. Once the Facility Advisory Committee was finished with identifying their 3 options, I reached out to Lisa Vossen, who is our rep for Barrett Financial. She's the one that has presented both at the annual meeting and also 4 previous bond referendums. At $15 million, based on the work that you have done as a board to be kind of fiscally conservative, the ability for us to prepay a bond last year, saving over $990,000, nearly $1 million of taxpayer money, both on principal and interest, that has put us in a position that as we move forward, a $15 million referendum would not change the mill rate for next year. So based on what we did see, a 49-cent decrease in the mill rate to $4.23 that was presented to you in October. And so right now we are situated that we would be able to, at market rate, receive a $15 million bond with no additional change to our mill rate.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's super important that point gets across tonight, and we're going to have to obviously get that point across as we move closer. That's really great. So the process with the prioritization, it looked like there was 2 groups, and you really went through almost line by line what the priority is on everything in each building. 2 separate groups, and then you kind of came together and meshed it and came up with one set of priorities as a group.
Yep, That's correct. So how it worked, Mike, was that the two groups were separated, and then we all came in, sat around a table, and that's where we were able to break out even some of the aspects in even more detail, where after conversations with Mike and Margaret and Johnson and those who were also committee members who had experience within the field of construction knew what would be a priority and what wouldn't be a priority based off of what they have seen and worked with. So it was a great debate and a great discussion, but we believe we all came to an agreement as far as the priorities go for each school.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I don't know if we need to get into any more details on that. I think since I believe we're going to try to set up a date for a work session to really kind of dive into it. Rick, I don't know if we want to address anything tonight on option 2. I'm just curious, like that $19 million referendum, that covered everything that SDS looked at in all 3 buildings, and what is basically in that $4 million and change that isn't getting addressed, and then how does that impact, down the road? At some point, we're going to have to address it, and I think we need to understand what that looks like. Maybe not tonight. That's probably workshop material, and then we can come back and have that discussion in the workshop and then bring it back.
And option 2, I think, from the Facility Advisory Committee, that was based on the last month's meeting. One of the questions I think that was posed is what would still remain on the plate? And so understand it's still a conveyor belt of things that are aging and will be needed to be fixed. We do know that based on the work of Market & Johnson and SDS Architects, it's about another $4 million. So it's 15 plus the $4 million that we're at this point became something they wanted to make sure you were aware of. The challenge, obviously, is we didn't have enough time to tell you what all is encompassing in that $4 million and how soon it would come available. But knowing that you had indicated that you wanted, more than likely last month said that you were going to need a work session, we've already asked Market & Johnson to come through and work with us on how soon those $4 million projects would come forward. We did put the tax impact for $19 million. You can see that it's just under $3 for a $100,000 house or property value, and up to about $8.76, which would be an annual cost of $105. Again, these are based on current pretty conservative interest rates of about 3 to 3.5. Obviously, you don't have a crystal ball, but at this time, the rates that schools are able to get on bonds is closer to 1%. The third option, people have asked about what is the tax impact, and all I can tell you is that it would go down. But I would also share that tax impact is basically flat or in decreases. And why would it be flat? It goes back to, again, if the board were to choose that you would want to prepay a bond that's already been pre-approved, that's where the mill rate fluctuates at times. One of the challenges I think you would have is obviously you would not be covering some of the things that have been identified as option 1. And so I think that's where you have a choice. And so what we did put together for the board is just kind of for the community to understand is that it was last January of 2021 when you identified that you were looking at a February date. It is a voting, official voting date for Pierce County. By statute, you have to have ballot language approved and then submitted to Pierce County clerk. One of the challenges that we have at this time is that it is a primary within Pierce County, and they will not know whether or not a primary will be necessary until January. In a similar way, you know that board seats are up in April. If Katie will be describing that process, but if more than 4 people put their hat in by January 4th, then there will be a runoff in February. If you're meeting, or if you decide that you would not want to be running on a single item, then the next opportunity for an election is April 2022. It doesn't give you much lead time in that you must have a ballot language somewhere between December 15th with it sent to Pierce County no later than January 12th.
Okay, and we'll get to that right now. I did want to just wrap you guys up here and just, I know whenever you put a diverse committee together like this, there's opinions all over the place, which is good. I think the best solutions come out of diverse groups like that. It can be challenging at times, I'm sure it was for you guys. But I do want to just recognize you for all the hard work that you did to get us to this point. This is huge. I mean, this is really, really significant for not just for us, but for the district itself. And the work that you guys did and the time that was spent is extremely appreciated from the entire board. And thank you. I'm sure when we talked, when I tried to rope you into this, Veronica, I think you mentioned if there's going to be any homework, and I probably lied to you and said, I don't know, I don't think there just might be a little bit. So, but I appreciate you guys sticking through it. It's valuable. It's super valuable information for us, and we followed a process, and here we are. And now it's the board's job to kind of make some decisions. And again, thank you for everything that you guys have done. Very, very much appreciated. All right. So if you want to take a seat, we can probably.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Thank you. So moving forward then, I guess, what are some questions that we have as a board? We have some decisions to make, right? So first of all, we got to set a workshop date. If we're all in agreement that we're going to move forward with the workshop, that's kind of where we left it last month. So to try to get a workshop in, and then use that workshop to kind of get some of the details and some of the questions that we had tonight answered in the workshop. So assume that's where we want to go, right?
Yes.
Do we want to try to set that date right now?
Yes.
Thank you.
Knowing that it's hunting season and knowing that we're up against the timeline for February, there's some dates that were thrown out. I think the date, when I kind of tried to figure this out, the best date was that Wednesday, December 1st, to have potential at everybody here. Can everybody, first of all, I want to ask, can everybody make the 1st of December? It's a Wednesday, if you can check your calendars. I know we have conflicts among the board on that Monday and Tuesday to get a full board there. So I don't know if we definitely want to have everybody here. So is Wednesday open on the 1st?
It is for me.
Please tell me yes, Vicki. Please.
All right, I'll skip the Snowies meeting.
Is that the dinner meeting?
It is the dinner meeting.
Well, we can go early if we can get here early.
I'm open, Mike.
Okay.
That'll work.
Then, so it's point of clarification. Now that you've identified date, we would like time, but time is probably contingent on the next part of this question. Do you want any of the vendors that you've been working with to be present or available? So do you want the architects available or Market and Johnson either in the room or available to you?
I can speak for myself. I don't feel like I don't need it. I feel like we've met with them forever.
Pat and Vicki, you guys are on the committee. I mean, what do you think? Would it be helpful to have them there, or do you think we can get her done without them?
I personally don't think that we need to have those guys there at the meeting. I don't know if it's unnecessary. I don't want to drag Mike in, but I think Mike would be hugely beneficial. Sorry, Mike.
Mike, what's your schedule on the 1st? What's your schedule on the 1st? Oh, good.
Okay, then we'll agree that we don't need Market and Johnson or SDS. So I think that should be a lot easier to get on the schedule.
Do we want any additional committee representation?
Would there be any need to have committee representation at this point, or?
Great question.
I'm trying to think, what would we need them for?
I would ask you guys that. I mean, I think I think Vicki and I don't, you can nod. I think I'm very comfortable explaining what, how they arrived at decisions and what decisions they made. But if you guys think it's beneficial to hear not from me, that might be a good thing.
Well, what if we leave it this way? It's going to be an open meeting. It's going to be a work session. We can certainly give them the floor to answer questions or talk about things. So we can leave it open for those folks to join if they're available.
That's a great idea.
I think it also depends on what kind of questions come out from us as board members, because I can think of a few off the top of my head on like what are the differences between the options and what's out from option 3 up to option 1, and what are the implications, what are the ramifications of that, of making those decisions.
Yeah. And I think Mike, I think that could actually be answered by us and best answered by Mike about what's out and what's the ramifications. Yeah, but
we can go through that.
But where the advisory committee members might be helpful though is hey, why did you prioritize this as a high priority at, say the intermediate school, but it ended up as a no priority at Malone?
I think, I'll let Steve or Tanya jump in here, but that's the process you guys followed, and I'm not questioning the process at all here. I think the process worked really well. So I don't think we need to go nitpicking, why did you make this a high priority or low priority? It doesn't, to me, that's what the committee's for. So I'm not interested in understanding why we prioritized whatever.
I saw Rick put it up just a little bit ago, but the line items, and it's going to be posted on our website. I would just propose that we all did a little homework as well.
Yeah.
And maybe we just highlight the ones that we want to have a little bit of a further discussion. I can tell you I'm not interested in going line for line at this meeting, because that's what we trusted this committee to do. We did this for like a year prior to this, and we needed more information, and that's what we're getting. And so, to be efficient, to use our time wisely, and everybody else, let's just go through it, highlight what we need to have further questions on. I feel completely comfortable having you two there. If anybody else wants to come, it's open. And it's time to make decisions, and to me, less time to discuss some of the nuances of that decision.
And I don't mean to put Shay on the spot down there. Shay, I know we haven't had a whole lot of dialogue on anything else tonight, but did you want to jump in on anything here, or are you just interested in kind of listening?
Well, it is interesting to listen, but I'm kind of curious about when was that taken, like that survey of like from community members about their taxes and stuff. When was that taken? Was that like a while ago?
October and through November of 2020.
Okay, cool. I was just curious.
Just about a year ago.
So about a year ago. Yeah.
Okay. So workshop, we come up with some questions maybe as we digest the information on our own, and we can also maybe dictate whether or not we need any more facilities action members. I don't think we will, but
to Steve's point, it's open and
it's open.
Yeah, if they want to, participate, be there, and if you guys have questions, you can throw questions at them. And
all right. If we want to, we can talk. I'd like to also hit on the dates for the resolutions quick, if we're ready to move on to that.
Well, can we follow up with, if we make a decision there, do we have to have a second meeting? So should we double check that we have 2 meetings?
The workshop, we cannot make any resolutions. We can't vote on anything. So we have to come out either that night with a formalized resolution, which gets into more, there's some challenges to having that resolution ready by Wednesday, but Thursday would be if we're gonna vote in February on the 15th, we have to call a meeting by Thursday, that very next day, the 2nd.
Right. So can we double check our calendars for that? I feel like that's part of it.
Yeah, so my recommendation though is that you book a double meeting on the same day. Mainly for this reason. The 2 resolutions that you have is what is the ballot language, and it's indifferent whether or not it's for February 15th or April 5th, based on your discussion. The second resolution is that you as a body direct your clerk, who's Pat, to send the information to Pierce County electoral judge. And so specifying that you're calling a question of the electorate to vote on February 15th or April 5th. So the difficulty is you have to have that no later than December 2nd. To post a regular meeting, you have to have it posted 24 hours in advance. So my recommendation is that if you decide after your work session that you are aiming for April 5th, you can gavel in on the regular meeting and gavel out you can adopt the language. We have Quarles and Brady drafting your ballot language. We are working, Katie's been working with Pierce County to verify whether or not you can do an if-then statement, so that you could say, if there is no primary, automatically move this language to April 5th. We don't know the legality of that, so we're waiting for that report. We will have that information for you by December 1st.
I just answered about 3 of my questions, so good.
Great. Okay, so workshop on the 1st, and then we'll post a regular session after the workshop.
To be followed by a regular meeting.
Okay.
And we'll have to post time?
So then
We'd have to post a time, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you can make an estimate.
Okay.
Yep. You can't start before your estimated time, but you can definitely start after.
So we'll have to nail down the times of the workshop. Hopefully we can meet sometime in the afternoon, late afternoon, so we can get to a regular meeting by 7. It'd be nice, or 7:30, but we can figure all those details out.
Well, given we have a captive audience, I would try to, if you can.
Okay, let's do it.
How soon can you?
So I'm wide open on that Wednesday. I can meet as early as possible so do we want to try to set a time for the workshop here?
Yeah.
I mean, it's 5 o'clock too early. I'll start with 5. Does that work?
Works for me.
Works for me on the 1st, yep.
Yeah.
5?
Yep.
Is that early enough? We don't want to go any earlier than that. I suppose school ends at 3:30, so. Okay. Let's say 5 o'clock on Wednesday, a workshop. And can Rick, we got to figure out, because if we go at 7, that gives us 2 hours in the workshop. What if we don't use 2 hours, then we just wait an hour?
You can do a regular meeting. You can schedule it for anytime you want.
Okay.
You're saying we might have too much time?
I don't think we'll need 2 hours, but
Right.
we can maybe say, schedule a regular meeting at 6:30 or 6 or 6:30, whatever we think we need. Do we need that time right now, or would you prefer us to have that, Rick?
Yeah.
I guess.
To post it, so.
Yeah. How much time do you guys think we're gonna need? Do you think we'll
Let's
need
go-
an hour and a half, or
Let's say 6:30, that's an hour and a half.
Let's say 6:30.
6:30?
And if it
Yeah,
goes
if we
a
go
little
longer than an
longer,
hour and a
it's
half, then we're probably.
I don't even know if it'll take an hour and a half.
Yeah, I agree. So let's shoot for 6. Then we'll say 6:30 regular session on that Wednesday.
I do think there's some discussion to be had if and we'll save it for the workshop, right? But if we go into April, I think there's some scenarios we need to talk about that could take a half an hour.
Yeah, and those are questions that I think we need to have answers to going into that meeting, because what are the ramifications if we push this back to April? Projects that we could have started after if a successful referendum were to pass in February, what does that look like then if we have a roof in the middle school or the intermediate school that needs to be replaced?
Well, I think, I mean, do we want to talk about some of those questions right now?
I would be happy to.
No, the more you can give us, we can do the homework for you.
Let me ask this while we're talking about the meeting first. Are we going to do it here? Both of them?
Here? I think we'll have to verify that we can use it, because I know that there's that Frozen may be using.
Sure.
So we will.
That is their tech week. My daughter's in it. It's their tech week, and their performance is on Friday. So I would guess the stage is going to be.
Yeah,
sure.
We'll get a location, but and we'll announce that. We probably could do it in the library too, but I'll
maybe
figure that out.
workshops in the library, but open sessions here. I don't know. We could figure that out.
That's why I asked the question.
Yep. Okay. So with that said, then Pat, did you?
Well, yeah, I can start, and hopefully there's some additional questions here, but if we do have to wait till April, and assuming a successful referendum, when would we actually be able to start work? So typically school projects are your kind of summer slams. You have the summer months, and even then there's some challenges with summer school and phasing around schools. So what work could actually get done this summer? As we all know, there's massive procurement and lead time challenges throughout everywhere. And I think that's something that we really need to, think about. So what I mean by that, if no work can get done in the summer, and we don't want work happening during the school year, how critical does April really become?
I agree, and we had this conversation a while ago, and that, Mike, if I recall, was one of our concerns with not doing it in February, was being able to use the whole summer, be able to get our contractors' bids, all that kind of stuff that needed to happen. It didn't give us enough time to do that.
And so maybe an add-on question to that would be, Mike, in your professional opinion, if we aren't doing work this summer, let's talk about the roofs, for example. What's the estimate of dollars would be spent on, short-term patchwork? And maybe you know it off the top of your head, maybe you don't.
Yeah, well, probably the biggest one is intermediate school roof. That's our highest priority for that right now. And we met with another roofing inspector actually yesterday. He reevaluated the roof. We're going to get a written report, and then also included in that written report, I requested what would we have to do for additional maintenance to make it, if we couldn't do it this summer, and we had to go over the next summer. What additional costs are we going to have there? And of course, everybody knows the supply chains and roofing material and roofing insulation lead times are really all over the board right now. So what, you'll have that information for you. I hope they have those reports from him either Friday or Monday. So you'll have those available to look at and kind of make some decisions at our workshop.
Perfect. And I think, like with the roof example, there's maybe some cost trade-offs there that we need to talk about. But then the other thing too, Mike, is to understand, even if we do go in April, let's say we can't do a big project because of timing. What are the little ones, though, that would be funded with a successful referendum that we could pick away at during the school year?
Oh, definitely. Tuck pointing, windows, doors, the generator, some asphalt patching. We could even start getting into like the HVAC system if we decide to go finishing up stuff at the elementary, getting into air handlers and VAP boxes over there. Even if we get into that, we can plan for, okay, we're going to do, that building there, we have like 3 sections that need work done in. We can actually say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to do the 2001 wing this summer. Next summer, we're going to tackle the gym and the 82 wing, or vice versa, whatever works logistically out the best. So there's still projects you can do. And because of all the projects in 3 different buildings, it's going to be a multiple summer project completion anyhow, no matter how we look at it.
I think another question, and this wouldn't be from Iron and Johnson, but again, let's say it's successful in April, and they're going to go out and they're going to buy work, right? So they'll go through a process of getting people potentially under contract. Let's say for a roof that isn't going to be done until the following summer. What type of commitments can they get from vendors and stuff? So my guess is we're going to continue to see some inflation. So is the right thing to do is try to buy out work in April that's going to happen a year and a half from then, or, and I'm not suggesting this, but do you limit that cost risk by even waiting till November of the following year? So just a couple things that I think we need to be thinking about.
All right. Now, was there anything else that we just wanted to, those are great questions.
The other questions, and we've talked about this before, is what if it is unsuccessful, then what does that mean? And so that'd be the other thing I think we need to start a discussion on as well.
100% agree.
Yep.
We're going to move on unless there's any other dialogue here. I think it's great progress. Wow, this is a fantastic report from the Facilities Committee. Even better news on the tax impact. I think that's just what a message that's going to be able to send to the public. I'm very, very happy about that. All right, we'll move on to item B. the DPI report card.
Yes, I'm going to have Michael Kosmowski, our MIS principal, but also serves as the teaching and learning and assessment coordinator for the district.
And Rick, you have my one slide.
More good news.
Last month, I shared with you the state assessment results for math and our ELA. In the meantime, the state now has released a report card where they grade all of the schools across the state. Part of our comparison, we look at Middle Border Conference, our neighboring districts of Hudson, River Falls, and then very similar districts to us demographically in both GET and Bloomer. I'm happy to be able to report today that the Prescott School District continues to exceed expectations on our report card from the state. The administrative team could not be more proud of our students and staff and the academic and learning focus we have had over the past 2 years. As a result, Prescott is a top 15% of the state in achievement and the top quartile of the state at all of our sites. We know that there are areas of opportunity and growth, though, still within our district, and that's something that we continue to focus on with our building leadership team and with all of our students. But I do want to say just congratulations to our students and staff. As you can see from our score, the report card is a points-based system, so our score is a 72.3. We are 4 out of 5 stars. We exceed the expectations that the state would put on for a district with our demographics. Achievement, again, you can see at the top, we rank at the 85.0 percentile in the state, which means we are a top 15% in achievement, and that is English and mathematics. And then there's a comparison of the achievement percentiles, again, of the Middle Border Conference, and then Hudson and River Falls, and again, GET and Bloomer, very similar districts to us.
Well, this is great. This is wonderful. And you congratulated the staff and all the hard work, but I mean, we know our administration and our team, our leadership, and our teacher leaders from you all the way down into our PLCs and all that. This is really great news for everybody to celebrate. So nice job, you guys.
Anybody else have any comments for Michael or questions on anything? Typically in the past, we've done workshops on this as well, where we dive into the scores. I know we got a lot on our plates, but that might be something maybe to consider maybe after the new year. I would think that would be.
Yeah, I think normally, and maybe I'm remembering wrong, but you guys, and it sounds like you're doing this now, are going, you work with your individual building teams and leaders, and then you guys come back to us with what we're going to do and our goals and how you're going to tackle some things. I think that's a good time to have that workshop conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, our district PLC leadership team, when it was embargoed, took a look at our scores. They then went out to each of their individual PLCs, shared that information. I know at the last PD day, all 4 of the sites had activities around the individual report cards. And now, again, we're going back out as a district administrative team to meet with each one of them, and then how does it align to the goals that we set for ourselves back when we had our data dig in August, and then are there any mid-course corrections or additional supports that are needed, or maybe even new directions we need to go in based on the information that we now have coming out of the report card. I know one of the pieces that we gleaned from this is the state has changed some of the categories, but one of them is the on track to graduation category, and they talk about absenteeism. And based on research, it shows that a student is less likely to be able to be successful if they miss more than 10% of the school year. So that's their definition of chronic absenteeism. And so we're looking at our students that are missing more than 17 days in our school year. And then what can we do to engage those students and those families to make sure that we are keeping kids here, because that's a critical piece, along with 3rd grade reading and 8th grade mathematics.
Just a question with the attendance. With the attendance the past couple years, this year, last year, the year before, are they waiving that requirement or doing anything unique with that?
They've changed the way that they calculate. Before it was if you fell below a certain percentage, instantly off of your score you lost 20 points. And you could have missed that by 0.1, and you could have missed that by 30. and you've still got 20 points dinged off. So instead, they've changed their calculation to accommodate for that, and that's why it's now 1 minus the percent of students that you have over the 10% days, so over 17 days. Yep.
Any other questions? Shay, any questions on the scores?
No.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
Stellar
Thank
news.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great news. But I think that, when you're ready, a workshop, when there's a plan to be put in place and all that stuff about kind of next steps like we've done in the past, I think we would like that.
Yep. Katie and I will be working with you guys specifically. We have really, I think after your work session on December 1st, that'll help dictate kind of what the kind of agendas look like for the rest of the new year, and we'll definitely schedule that. We also do midterm testing, and so we'll have another data point to add to that. So thank you.
All right. Item C now we're on is COVID vaccination options for staff and students.
Yes, just a reminder, obviously people understand that we have many mitigation steps in place within our buildings, but the Midwest and Minnesota and Wisconsin do have a high preponderance of cases that are currently escalated with regards to students and individuals within both states. I did want to share that vaccinations for our staff were provided. I want to thank Cassie Butler, who had a shout out during our intro, but also for setting up the vaccination clinics for our staff. We also did inform families that individuals who are aged 5 and 11 are now eligible for vaccination. We continue to try to share out the information. It is a personal choice, but we do know that it's something that is the #1 mitigating step that families and our staff can do. And there are many options, and we've shared those options on our website, and we continue to provide any information for families that have questions to visit the Prescott website for that.
All right, anything on that, guys?
I guess my only question would be, any new challenges, Rick, with staffing or subs or transportation or anything that we
Yes,
haven't?
yes,
No?
yes, and yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think if, to be honest, the biggest Thanksgiving we could do is how amazing our staff have been in stepping in. I would share that, as I did earlier, is that we do have continuity of learning plans in place. We will continue to try to follow as long as it's safe and we're able to staff our facilities, we'll stay open. But I do want to just kind of alert families that there is the potential, and we've had to close one of our classrooms earlier in one school, is that there is always the possibility that the outbreak is too large. At this point, we've been able to manage it, and we did have a large increase of students last week, but it hasn't been anything that's carried over into our staff. But our bench is not deep in any of those. So, like I said, we have no backup custodians, we have no backup bus drivers, and our sub pool is pretty thin.
Just to follow up with that a little bit, are we still in communication with AZ Snyder regularly, or how is that working this year when it comes to recommendations?
Yeah, AZ continues. I think she's sent you all a couple updates to the board. She'll reach out to the superintendents. Also, Cassie is the lead nurse for the district. Are your calls weekly? Bi-weekly, okay. So they are in contact, and obviously we partner with them anytime there's cases.
And then just to clarify, and my kids have had this experience now this last couple weeks, but if kids are close contacts, we get that letter, and that kids have the option to self-quarantine or self-isolate to be able to stay home. And that's okay. They're not docked anything when it comes to attendance or points. They can work with their teachers. I know we went over plans of how to catch up and stuff like that, but that I know it is on their minds if they don't want to miss school and get behind. I completely know that, but at the same time, it is an option for families and kids, and you know, we encourage it to the extent that the family and the students feel comfortable with.
Yeah. And you know, I would encourage every parent that's concerned, or you know, the students that are of age, please visit our website, talk to your counselor and principals. We do record at the secondary level the instruction and have that available to our students that are at home. And then our teachers have been remarkable at reaching out or using Google Meets to also follow up with our students.
And then my last question, so did you, I think I heard earlier you guys mentioning testing, or maybe it was our audience member that mentioned it. Is that something that's operational right now, or how's that working?
Yeah. We did open, we've had 2 clinics. The first one was on last Friday, the next one was on Monday. We had bigger traffic on Monday. We're very happy on the turnaround. And the goal was, given that Thanksgiving is coming up, that we'll be sending out any family that's been identified or students been identified. We've informed them of the clinic. And then we have an email that's going out to all families on Monday the 29th to make sure that they're aware.
Okay. I wasn't informed of the clinic, which would be great, so I think it must be really brand new.
Yeah, it's only 2
but
cents.
moving forward, that's something that's being shared with families and stuff?
Correct.
Great.
Anybody else have any questions? All right. Item D, winter weather alert reminders.
Believe it or not. So in November, usually we average about 7 inches of snow. We've had just over a little bit of an inch, but I just wanted to make sure that people are kind of sky aware, to steal a line from the news guys. But we obviously do have plans in place, both for notifying families if we have to close. Understand that we base some of the learning that we've had by fire due to COVID is that we do have the ability to call a virtual snow day. And so with our one-to-one at the high school level, our students are reminded basically to make sure they have their devices. And it will always depend on the amount of snow, the time of day that we're notified, or are going to make the call to determine whether or not it's an old-fashioned snow day, a virtual day. And so just wanted to make sure people continue to monitor our website on those decisions.
All right, let's go on. Let's keep going here. Item E is the school board election candidacy announcements.
So I have Katie Hilbrand, who's going to come up here. You may have seen this individual before. That's going to come on screen. You've seen Katie before.
Okay, so April 5th, 2022, we have election for school board. This year, there are 2 seats open. Incumbents are Mike Matzik and Vicki Rudolph. Rick, do you have the other slide that has the...
Getting there, sorry.
That's okay.
It's locked. I don't have access.
You don't have access? What?
I got denied.
Oh. I'll just go from there. So the timeline for filing declarations of your candidacy and registration statements, you can no earlier than December 1st, 2021. And the deadline for filing for candidacy is Tuesday, January 4th, 2022 by 5 p.m. If we have more than 4 candidates for the election, there will be a primary that will be held on Tuesday, February 15th, 2022. And from there, then the spring election would take place again on Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. Length of the term of office is 3 years. All of the forms that are needed for election can be found on the website, or there is the guide for candidates that's included in your information today. One note, the district office will be closed December 23rd through January 2nd, so get your paperwork in. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I will be happy to help you. And there's also all of this information can be found on our district website for anyone in the public that is also interested.
So can you just reiterate the date that candidates that are interested in running have to submit by?
Yes, no earlier than December 1st and no later than January 4th.
And that includes incumbents?
That includes incumbents. I do have forms with me as well.
I'm sure you'll remind us.
Yes, I will.
It'll go weekly and then daily and then.
It might be a lawn sign, it might be, yeah. But any questions, please let me know. And I also have a call-in regarding the primary and things like that related to referendum as well, to get a little bit out of an outline of specifically what that process would be, because we haven't had had to do that in a while, so.
All right. Thanks, Katie.
Mm-hmm.
And Katie, while you go back, do you have your computer? If you can just give me access, then I can throw that slide up for the next one. The next item.
Item F, the statewide WASB convention.
Yeah, so we're going to filibuster here. No, what I wanted to do is just it sounded like some people were unable to attend. Katie does have to register you, and rooms are sell out very quickly. By my tabulation, it looks like Steve and Pat, you have conflicts and won't be attending. Mike and Tanya for sure, because you're delegates. And then Vicki?
I'm going to try.
Okay, so if you can confirm, we can always cancel a room. It does begin on January 19th in the morning. So usually we're down there by the 18th.
Okay.
And then there's another event for the kickoff on the 18th. If the three of you could confirm with Katie, we just wanted to make sure that we have you scheduled and have a room, and whether or not you're going to stay through Friday.
Okay, yeah, I just need to know the exact dates. I thought that you went down on the 18th.
Correct.
Okay, and then.
So the conference begins early morning on the
Okay.
19th, and it does go through Friday the 21st.
Okay.
So Vicki, the 21st is a little bit more of a low-key day. I don't know. So generally, if you needed to come back on a Friday or Thursday night, that's kind of what many of us have done.
Okay.
Just thinking of how much time you have to take off work and stuff.
Yeah.
And it does require, since we won't have quorum for the board meeting on the third week, the recommendation is to move the regular board meeting in the month of January up 1 week to January 12th.
Is that a problem for anyone? I guess. What the other option would be the 26th, move it back a week. We've done that before too. Is that?
The dilemma for you would be, and this relates back to your, whatever you decide on December 1st could play out on that. If that,
your resolution.
Yeah, if you decide to delay to April, you would have to have the resolution no later than January 12th.
Splendid. All right, so we should probably move it to January 12th then.
Brilliant thought, Mike.
Does anybody have a?
Works for me.
Okay, and we would do it at the regular time. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
So, yeah. Okay. Katie, did you catch that? Okay. Were you able to share? Okay. The only reason I wanted to kind of, Katie had some dates, and I think for our viewing audience, I just want to make sure we can get that up on the screen for you. We cast that before you adjourn or ask for comments. Just for our viewing audience, these are the dates that were put or mentioned earlier, but now on the tape. Is that right?
Do you want to just leave them up there and
Yep.
I can move on to the next one?
Correct.
So we'll move on to item 10, recognition of visitors. Anybody care to be recognized? Come on up.
Cassie Butler, Oak Grove. So I want to apologize. My offer was not finalized until this evening, so I was not able to put my resignation in for you to have in the business section tonight. But I would like you to be aware of it for next month, and then so that I can get things going with Angela and Mark to get a replacement in. So, dear school board members, please accept this letter as notice of my resignation as the district nurse for the Prescott School District. The last day of my employment will be December 31st, 2021. I was offered a position with Pierce County Public Health Department, and after careful consideration, I have decided to accept the offer. I feel that this opportunity will provide me with a chance to broaden my skills and education as a registered nurse, as well as more opportunities for advancement. I am excited to transition to an employer that values, respects, and trusts my knowledge and professional recommendations, as this has not been the case with the current district administrator for a while. It is with a very heavy heart that I transition to a new position away from the students that I've cared for as I would care for my own children for the last 7 years. I honestly saw this as my career for the next 20 or plus years, so it was a very difficult decision. I have made so many great connections with student staff and the community members, and they will not be forgotten. The last 2 years have been tough, but there are so many in the community that have been extremely supportive of me. I understand that the community has been trying to cope with these times in the best ways that they can, so there's no hard feelings towards anyone. I completely understand that each parent I've talked to and dealt with during the last 2 years was just trying to look out for their children in the best way they could. I also want to take the opportunity to thank Mark for the many opportunities he's provided me over the years that I've been with the district. It has been an honor and privilege to work so closely with him and the principals for each building. You are truly a great team. You have helped me learn and grow as a professional, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I hope that management learns to trust your knowledge, judgment, and recommendations as I have. My intent when I started this letter was to be professional and respectful, which I believe I have accomplished. However, I don't want to allow others to paint my narrative for me, nor destroy my credibility as I'm leaving. I am not leaving due to an increased workload or the stress that comes with that. I have devoted everything to this district, and I pride myself with the work that I have done to keep this district as informed as possible during this ever-changing pandemic. I have met every expectation that was handed to me, and I have gotten our district every available opportunity as early as I could in order to keep our staff and students safe and in school as much as possible. I have never said that I could not do something that was requested of me. I simply took it as a new challenge and gave it my all. I have never treated anyone with anything but respect, and I expected the same in return. I'm proud of the growth that we have accomplished within the health offices over the last couple of years, and I sincerely hope that that continues with the next nurse. I would like to offer help with the transition for the next nurse in the hopes that things will go as smoothly as possible. I will be available to help train that replacement in person until December 31st, and then beyond that via phone call or email. Again, thank you for the many opportunities I've had to work with everyone in the various capacities within Prescott School District. I wish you and my many colleagues all the best, and I hope to stay in touch with everyone.
Thanks, Cassie.
Thank you, Cassie. And congratulations on your new offer. Take care. Is there anybody else that would care to be recognized? All right. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.